Hey, you know that feeling you get when you're having a conversation with someone in English? That feeling of, oh no, nervousness because you don't know what to say next? You know, when they ask you a question and you understand it, but you just don't know how to respond? That awkward silence? Today's lesson is going to help you eliminate all of those feelings. I'm going to teach you how to master English conversations. Are you ready? Well then, I'm Teacher Tiffany. Let's jump right in. So what we're going to do first is look at a conversation I had with one of my good friends. We were talking about art. So I'm going to read the conversation to you very quickly and you'll be able to read along. Then we're going to break down each piece of the conversation so that I can help you do the same thing like a native English speaker. So this is my friend. Her name is Ria. And I started the conversation off by asking Ria, hey, do you think your environment affects your creativity? As you can tell, Ria thought about the question. She said, that's a great question. I wholeheartedly believe that a person's environment greatly affects the artwork they produce. For example, when I was younger, there were plants all throughout my house. My mom had a green thumb, so she loved taking care of a variety of plants. Well, her love for plants affected my environment, and now I love taking pictures of plants. Now, Tiff, I think your time in Korea affected your art too, right? Now I'm going to continue reading the rest, but notice what my friend did. She answered and then she immediately asked me a question as well. Again, this is part of mastering English conversations and we're going to break this down even more. So after she asked me that question, I responded, yes, totally. I do want to say though, that it is amazing how much your mother's passion affected your passion. I honestly totally agree with your thoughts on the power of an environment, Ria. My time in Korea affected my art in so many ways. Before going to Korea, I mainly focused on portraits. But after spending 10 years in Korea, I now love to paint rocks and mountains. So you see, this is the first part of our conversation, and I asked a question, she responded, and then asked me a question, and I responded. But some very important things happened in this first part of the conversation. So let's break it down in more detail, all right? So let's go to the first part, not the last part, the first part. Remember, I asked her a question. I said, hey, Ria, do you think your environment affects your creativity? You see, a conversation always starts off with a specific topic or question. And I asked her about creativity. I'm introducing the topic and I used a question. So remember, when you're trying to master English conversations, you need to start it off with a certain topic or a question about a certain topic. That was the start of our conversation. And now it was Ria's turn to respond. And Ria's response was very interesting. Now, in her response, she had a few expressions and words. And I do want to explain those words to you. But I want to start first with her initial response. Remember, she said, Tiffany, that's a great question. I wholeheartedly believe that a person's environment ... But wait, she said, that's a great question. She responded to what I asked, right? Hey, Tiff, I'm acknowledging your question and saying, you know what? That's a great question. Then she proceeded to give her personal opinion. She said, I completely believe that a person's environment greatly affects the artwork they do. So when you're in a conversation and someone asks you a question, you don't just answer and stop. Instead, like Ria, you can say or give your thoughts on that question. She said, that's a great question. Or, that's very interesting. Then she gave her opinion. In her opinion, yes, a person's environment greatly affects their artwork. Now, sometimes you give an answer like that and you stop, but you have to keep going. Watch what Ria did. She said, for example, when I was younger. And she started to give an example story to support her opinion. You have to remember this. So you give your opinion, but then you have to support it by giving something else. And you can give a story. This is a great way to keep a conversation going. When you tell a story like story time, right? How much you guys like story time at the end of this video, don't miss it. It's because the person can kind of connect with what you're saying. They learn more about you, and it also will lead to more questions, which will keep the conversation going. So Ria starts giving a little bit of a personal experience, a personal story, example of her mom. And she said her mom had a green thumb. Now let me explain to you really quickly what a green thumb is. Here we go. So in English, we say green thumb, and this is just someone who has an unusual ability to make plants grow. Many times people will get plants and unfortunately they die. They don't know how to take care of the plants. But when a person is really good at taking care of plants and helping them grow even inside the house, we say they have a green thumb. Ria said her mom has a green thumb. Now here's an example sentence using this expression. My mom's idiom. My mom has a green thumb. Very simple and easy to use. So Ria mentioned that her mom has a green thumb. Now she said that her mom took care of a variety of plants. Remember, Ria is still in the third part, giving her example story in her response. She said a variety. Now, what does this word variety mean? Variety actually means a number of different types of things, especially ones in the same general category, right? So things that are in the same general category, they're all plants, but they're different types. We have tulips, a flower. We have other plants, large, small, that are different, but they're the same kind, category, or a category. I was surprised, example sentence, I was surprised by the variety of choices that were available. So in English, we say variety. So again, as Ria was talking about her experience, giving her example story, she said that her mom, who had a green thumb, had a variety of plants. Now, her love for plants, she continues, affected my environment. Then she says her current situation due to the story. The example story she told you, now she's explaining how that story connects to the present day. She said, my mom's love for plants affected her environment, and now she loves taking pictures of plants. So again, Ria responded to my question. She gave her personal opinion, then she gave a story to connect it, and then she said how that story affects her right now in the present time. And she ended by doing what? Now, Tiff, I think your time in Korea affected your art too, right? She ended with a question. Remember, when you're trying to master English conversations, you have to remember it's like a tennis match, back and forth, back and forth. And the only natural way for this to happen is to use questions and answers back and forth. So Ria, in her response to my question, she gave her opinion, but she supported it with an interesting story, which also will keep the listener's attention. Conversation is not just about the number of words you can use. It's about your understanding of the proper way to have a conversation in English. Okay, give my idea, support my idea, then make sure I connect with my listener by asking him or her a question. All right? So Ria sends it back to me. She asks me a question. And now it's my turn to respond. So I respond, I say, yes, Totally. That is right here an immediate answer. I immediately respond to the question I was asked. But I continue. Watch what I did. I do want to say, though, that it is amazing how much your mother's passion, speaking of Rhea, affected your passion. Now, what did I do there? I actually acknowledged the previous statement. I showed Rhea, hey, I was listening. I'm not just answering the question you asked me. I do want to show you that I enjoyed your story. I listened to your story, and I also heard your opinion. I did that by, hey, I answered, yes, I totally agree with what you're saying. I totally believe that Korea did affect me. But I want you to know that I was also listening to you. Again, in a conversation, when someone feels like you are listening to them, they will want to continue the conversation. All right? So I let her know, hey, I was listening, Rhea. I understood what you said, and I also agree. And it's amazing how much your mom's passion really affected you as well. So after letting her know that I was paying attention, I then state the part that I agreed or disagreed with. I said, Rhea, I honestly totally agree with your thoughts on the power of an environment. So again, I'm still acknowledging what Rhea said. I'm letting her know I paid attention to your story, your example story, and I also paid attention to your opinion. Now I'm letting you know if I agree or if I don't agree with it. And I said I totally agree. Then that's when I continue. Now I do want to explain totally agree really quickly. So in English, when we say totally agree, it just means to fully agree, giving full agreement to the maximum possible without any level or measure or element of a disagreement. Hey, we're on the same page. I totally agree with you. So here's an example sentence. They totally agree with you, so don't worry about it. In English, we say totally agree. Now, I want to continue with the conversation, breaking it down for you all. But I do want to say this. What we're doing is we're breaking down English conversations, right? And I want you again to master this so that you can be more confident when you have conversations. But this brings me to our sponsor for today's video. Again, you all know how much I love CAMBLY. CAMBLY, I appreciate you caring about my students. And the reason CAMBLY is amazing is because they have tutors from all around the world. They have tutors from the USA, Canada, Australia, and the UK, and they're available 24/7. So as you're trying to master this ability to have English conversations naturally, you need to practice what you are learning. So everything you're learning today, giving an example story, explaining yourself, giving your opinion, you need to practice, and you can do that practice with an amazing CAMBLY tutor. Now, CAMBLY, again, I love partnering with them because they care about you. And CAMBLY wants to give you a free 10-minute lesson. If you have never tried a CAMBLY tutor, you are missing out. Their tutors care about you, and they want you to speak English fluently. So hit the link in the description. Take advantage of this free 10-minute lesson. Practice what you're learning in the lesson today, giving an example story, giving your opinion, and then giving a question back to the person listening to you. Your CAMBLY teacher will help you master this ability to have conversations. Now, all of the lessons are recorded, which is another amazing thing for you. You can watch yourself. After the meeting with your tutor, you can watch the video and see where you improved and also where you need to improve. So again, CAMBLY, thank you so much. I want each and every one of you watching this video to take advantage of the lesson. Click the link in the description. And I know when you are ready, you'll take advantage of their 40% off deal for you because you're my student of any 12-month plan. You're saying, I'm ready. I want to master English conversation. They want to give you 40% off of any 12-month plan. Hit the link in the description and finally master English conversation with an amazing tutor. Thanks again, CAMBLY, and I hope each of you enjoy your tutor. So again, as we're continuing with the conversation, now we're going back to my response. I said, I totally agree. And you see that portion of the conversation. Then I continue giving more details about my personal experience. I start talking about what happened, what I was like before I went to Korea. I said, before going to Korea, I mainly focused on portraits, which is true. But after spending 10 years in Korea, I now love to paint rocks and mountains. And I actually want to show you some of the paintings and how my paintings changed over time. But again, the important part is you're seeing I acknowledged what Ria said. Then I continued by giving my experience. This is something with English conversation that you must remember. You have to give your opinion, but you also have to support it with a story or other information. Now, I'm scrolling through. This is one of my pieces. This is an art piece. Hold on one second, that I did before Korea. This is one of my pieces from before Korea. It's a pencil drawing. It's actually huge. I just put it on my phone. I saved it to my Instagram page. But after going to Korea, I started focusing on painting mountains, and this mountains and rocks and nature. This is a small piece I did, and it was some mountains, a mountain area in South Korea. So you see, my artwork changed because my environment changed. And that's what Ria and I were discussing. But remember, acknowledging what she said, also saying what I agreed or disagreed with, and then giving my personal experience. Again, this is how a natural English conversation flows. So let's keep going. Now, the second part of our conversation is right here. We continued our conversation. Ria was talking to me and I responded. And Ria responded to me saying, "Oh, Tiff, I love your new style. I always look at your paintings on your Instagram feed. They are so nice." My response, "Oh, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing more of your artwork too." She responded, "Yeah, I'm actually planning to take some pictures this weekend. I'll shoot them to you when I finish editing them, or I'll send them to you. I would love to know your thoughts on them." My response, "Sounds like a plan. Definitely, I would love to." So you see, this is the last part of our conversation as we're wrapping up, but we still have this natural flow back and forth. So let's break this down. So Ria said, "Oh, Tiff, I love your new style." She's connecting to the example with a personal example. Remember, I said my new style, I changed because of my environment. Now, my friend Ria actually follows me on Instagram. So Ria also sees my paintings right there. So she said, "Hey, let me connect what you said by actually showing you I also know that you've changed." You want to connect with what the person said. Then I respond, "Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing more of your artwork too." We're still going back and forth, back and forth. So I responded to the connection she made, and I also made a comment about her. So remember, when you're in a conversation, you want to make sure you're listening closely so that you can first respond to what they said to show the connection, and then make another comment, preferably about them. Now, after I did that, what did she say? "Yeah, actually, I'm planning to take some pictures this weekend." She answered. She replied to what I said, and then she talked about her future plans. "I would love to know your thoughts on them after I take the pictures." We're still going back and forth, connecting, letting each other know that we care about what we think and what the other person thinks as well. And I ended by saying, "Sounds like a plan." That just means, yep, sounds good. That's the final comment related to the previous statement. She said, "Tiff, I'd love to know your thoughts." And I said, "Hey, sounds like a plan." I'm acknowledging that, yes, I will do that. And this is exactly how you have a fluent English conversation, a natural English conversation like a native English speaker. I really hope you enjoyed today's lesson. Don't forget to get your tutor by hitting the link in the description for CAMBLY. Again, practice what you've learned today, and I guarantee your English will improve, and so will your English conversation skills. All right, I will see you next week, but as always, remember to speak English. You still there? You know what time it is. Come on, sing it with me. It's story time. Hey, I said it's story time. All right. So today for story time. Now, I mentioned to you all again that I enjoy drawing and painting. I'll try to show some of my artwork here. This is some of my latest artwork. Hold on one second. Let's see if you all can see it right here, where I put my artwork online. So I like to paint, I like to draw, and I just like to express myself creatively. But the thing is, I don't have a lot of friends that are interested in art. They appreciate art. Like, they'll see a picture and say, wow, Tiff, we really like that picture. But it usually stops there. They're not as interested as I am in art. I love going to art museums. I can spend a full day at an art museum, staring at paintings, staring at drawings, staring at sculptures, trying to understand what the artist was trying to convey, the message. So I never really had another friend that appreciated that level of art appreciation. That was until I went to Korea. One of my closest friends, closest friends, like she married my student, like we're very, very close. When we were in Korea, I've talked about her before. Angel, if you're watching, hey. Her name is Angel. She's Korean, but we were teachers together at the English Institute I worked at in Korea, Samyuk Ohagwon, Samyuk Institute. That was in Korean. And we were friends, but we hadn't gotten close just yet. That was until we realized we both loved art. So we used to go to cafes every Sunday, and I told you all about how we used to spend hours, sometimes in silence, just drawing and painting, and we loved it. Well, one year I was in Korea. It was around Christmas time. It actually was Christmas, and I wasn't able to come home. I had to stay in Korea. I wasn't with my family. And she and I spoke, and we said, hey, well, why don't we spend Christmas together? This was before she got married. They hadn't even started dating yet. So we said, okay, well, let's go on a trip. So we went on a trip to like a little hotel area. It was kind of not a hotel. It was like an apartment, and they had it right in front of the beach. So it was really nice. And we said, hey, let's just go and draw and paint the whole time. So that's exactly what we did. We cooked. We talked, laughed a lot, and then during the day, we just drew and painted all day. But on Christmas Day, we came back to our house, my apartment, and she went to her. We were about to go to her apartment to drop her off, and she said, Tiff, why don't we hang out actually for Christmas Day? Because we had hung out prior, like the days before Christmas, and I said, okay. I said, well, what do you want to do? Because she cooks well, and I like to cook as well. I can cook well, too. So I said, okay, are we going to cook all day, or what are we going to do? She said, how do you feel about painting all day? We had just came from a trip where we painted all day. And I said, I love the idea. And we literally painted all day. Now, we ate delicious food in the evening, but we painted all day. And I can remember as we were sitting in the floor in my living room, she was painting and I was painting, and we listened to sermons, we listened to music, Christmas music. And I just said, man, it's amazing to have a friend that loves art just as much as I do. Now that I'm back in America, she's in Korea again. Husband, baby, he's so cute. But we both still talk about that. Like, man, we miss being around each other to go on these trips where we just paint all day. So one day, again, after things are a little bit more safe, a little safer, I'll be able to travel to Korea and visit, and we'll do another painting trip. All right, guys, maybe you have experienced the same thing. You have a friend that has the same interest as you, and you have a wonderful time together. Let us know about it in the comment section. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's story time and learned a little bit more about me. I'll see you next time.